welcome back to this. I'm Chesh, if you're new here. We are on page 395 out of 920. We're almost at page 400. In the PDF, we're on page 363 in the document. So if you're following along, it's linked in the description if you want your own copy. Yay! We're on chapter 12, Department of Energy and Related Commission by Bernard L. McNamee. McName, whatever. Anyway, this fucking guy. Too quiet. How's that? Is that better? Hello. Success? How about now? 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 How about banana? Hello? Are we good? Yeah, welcome to Project 2025, page 395. We're almost at page 400. In the document, we're at 363. Sound good? Are we good? Are you fine? Better? Better, but not good enough? Is this alright? You want me to... I can do more. I can do more. Is that better? Is this... How's that? You like that shit? Is that doing anything for you? Alright. So yeah, welcome back to Project 2025. I'm Chesh if you're new here. If you're not new here, we're on page 12 of Project 2025, which is a total of 920 pages. We are on page 395 in the PDF and 363 in the regular document. The document is linked in the description if you are interested in your own copy or whatever. So yeah, Department of Energy and Related Commissions, Bernard L. McName or McName, whatever. Asshole number 12. American energy and science dominance. The next conservative administration should prioritize energy and science dominance to ensure that Americans have abundant, affordable, and reliable energy. Create good-paying jobs, support domestic manufacturing and technology leadership, and strengthen national society. Achieving these goals will require bold policy action and reform that involves the U.S. Department of Energy, or the DOE, the Federal Energy Regulation Commission, or the FERC, and the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, the NRC. Yeah, if you can't tell, I'm fucking tired, dude. Oh, I don't want to be here reading this. I am here to suffer. American energy dominance. Access to affordable, reliable, and abundant energy is vital to America's economy, national security, and quality of life, yet ideologically driven government policies have thrust the United States into a new energy crisis just a few short years after America's energy renaissance, which began in the first decade of the 2000s, transformed the United States from a net energy importer, oil and natural gas, to an energy independence and energy dominance. Americans now face energy scarcity, an electric grid that is less reliable, and artificial shortages of natural gas and oil despite massive reserves within the United States, all of which has led to higher prices that burden both the American people and the economy. While that's not true, we all know that that's not true. We all know that the scarcity fabrication came from the Trump administration, right? They manufactured a scarcity issue to raise the price. I thought that was common knowledge. The new energy crisis, all of which has led to higher prices, the new energy crisis is caused not by a lack of resources, but an extreme green policies. under the rubrics of combating climate change and ESG, environmental, social, and governance. The Biden administration, Congress, and various states, as well as Wall Street investors, international corporations, and progressive special interest groups, are challenging America's energy landscape. These ideologically driven policies are also directing huge amounts of money to favored interests and making America dependent on adversaries like China for energy. In the name of combating climate change, policies have been used to create an artificial energy scarcity that will require trillions of dollars in new investment, supported with taxpayer subsidies, to address a problem that government and special interests themselves created. The result that has been increased energy costs that hurt individuals and families, especially low-income Americans and seniors on fixed incomes. Oh, you mean like cutting people's pension plans? You mean like borrowing off of the millennial and younger generations for increasing pension plans for individuals, for special interest groups? They use special interest groups as if it's like some kind of dismissive, like, oh, they're smaller, they're not important, and like that's just silly. Make businesses that create jobs that drive our economy and quality of life less competitive, and make America less energy secure. Moreover, increased energy scarcity will allow government, either directly or through access to banks and Wall Street investors, to decide on who is worthy to receive funding for energy projects. I mean, yes, you should have standards. Ideology. The I don't want to fucking die-ism. Yo, accurate? Yo, wait a minute. Wait, well, how dare you? How dare you not like just die for the economy? That was what they were pushing when COVID was a big thing, right? Yeah, because I don't want to say COVID's not still a thing and it's still kind of big, but you know what I mean. Everything is relative. In the end, government control of energy is control of people and the economy. This is one reason why they trend towards nationalization of our energy industry through government mandates, bans on the production and use of oil and natural gas, and nationalization of electric grid is so dangerous. Well, I mean, the reason that it's whatever, you know what? It's because certain amounts of energy are a need, not a want. Right? They already discussed and defined electricity as a necessity for life, right? They defined that earlier in this document. So if energy is a need to life, it means that people ought to be provided it for free. That's what makes it a need, right? So like they define some medical care as a need. They define food and housing and energy all as a need, as well as internet access. So this document actually acknowledges that these things are needs, not wants. They're not something that just, you know, people want to have. They're things that they need to survive. So those, you would think water, you know. At the same time, adversaries like China, Russia, North Korea, Iran, and non-state actors are constantly engaging in cyber attacks against our energy infrastructure. We have already seen what supposedly minor attacks, such as the cyber attack on the Colonial Oil Pipe or the physical attack on the electrical infrastructure in North Carolina, can do. Or, you know, just some snow in Texas. A coordinated cyber and physical attack on natural gas pipelines and the electrical grid during an extended cold spell could be catastrophic. Just an extended cold spell is catastrophic in parts of America where you haven't invested in the infrastructure, which was Republican and has been Republican for a really long time. What the fuck are you talking about? Yet the current administration, now they're complaining about state administration, I guess? I don't know. Yet the current administration's first concern is plowing taxpayer dollars into intermittent wind and solar projects and ending the use of reliable fossil fuels. But they're not. If they were reliable, then you wouldn't have these grid issues, would you? They're stating that this is an ongoing problem that has existed, but then blaming something that's not fully in place yet, as opposed to blaming the thing that's been in place the whole time. A conservative president must be committed to unleashing all of America's energy resources and making the energy economy serve the American people, not special interests. Climate change is the American people, though. That serves the American people, so that's silly. This means that the next conservative administration should promote American energy security by increasing access to abundant, reliable, and affordable energy, you know, like the sun, which is pretty reliable. I mean, we could pretty much rely on the sun to be there tomorrow for the foreseeable future. I suspect that the sun will likely last longer than America. Right? Like, America, the country, will probably not outlast the sun. Cute goal, though. It's also pretty affordable. It's kind of just there, hanging out. Easy access. Though. Affirm an all-of-the-above energy policy through which the best attributes of every resource can be harnessed for the benefit of the American people. Yeah, that's already happening, so that's a little silly. About 5 billion years. We can rely on the sun every 8 minutes. Every 8 minutes for the next about 5 billion years. Support repeal of massive spending bills like Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, or the IIJA, and Inflation Reduction Act, the IRA, which established new programs and are providing hundreds of billions of dollars in subsidies to renewable energy developers, their investors and special interests, and support the rescinding of all funds not already spent by these programs. Unleash private sector energy innovation by ending government interference in energy decisions. That sounds like a terrible idea. Stop the war on oil and natural gas. Yeah, that's not a thing. Allow individuals, families, and businesses to use the energy resources they want to use that will best serve their needs. Okay, yeah, to do that, you need to make them accessible, which means you need to invest in them, which is what they're doing. So again, we're back to, we've invented a problem. We've got an issue. We're misapplying the issue. Then we're describing the solution as the thing that these people are already doing as if it's not what they're doing. And then we're going to tell you the wrong way to do it. And a way to do it that's going to have some seriously negative outcomes. Good morning. Welcome. You're up early. Secure and protect energy infrastructure from cyber and physical attacks. Refocus the Department of Energy on energy security, accelerated remediation, and advanced science. Promote U.S. energy sources as a means to assist our allies and diminish our strategic adversaries. Refocus the FERC. I'm going to struggle with that one. My brain. Oh, that hurts. Oh. It's fine. the FERC. You ever feel like you're like looking at something, you're reading something, your brain just like does a knot on its own, and it's just like, and it's like, that's what that just felt like. FERC on ensuring that customers have affordable and reliable electricity, natural gas, and oil, and no longer allow it to favor special interest and progressive causes. Okay, so what makes natural gas and oil not a special interest and solar and wind a special interest? Because this is just describing how we need to treat oil and natural gas like it's special when it's not. No? Okay. I don't know why I'm in a full hoodie, by the way. I'm just lounging. Ensure that's not like I'm cold. I got this hat on. I'm gonna get overheated. I have just realized I should turn a fan on. My light's not even on right now. It was raining earlier. Starting to get a blue sky now. Speaking of which, follow me on Blue Sky. But anything but this. I'm in anything but this mode. Ensure that the Nuclear Regulatory Commission facilitates rather than hampers private sector nuclear energy innovation and deployment. Yeah, that's what we want. We want to put Elon Musk in charge of nuclear energy, sure. There's stuff to talk about Elon Musk, but I'm not going to right now because of his recent appearance at a Trump rally, as well as like his interview with Tucker Carlson on X, whatever the fuck they're calling it. Yeah. Oil and gas doesn't hurt my fees project 2025. American science dominance. Ever since the age of Benjamin Franklin, what? The United States has been at the forefront of scientific discovery and technological advancement. I don't think that's true. This is like America being like, we put the first man on the moon, and Canada being like, we used American money to put the first man on the moon. It's like a large portion of the engineers and the people that were working at NASA during the Apollo missions were were a bunch of Canadians that were at the time, prior to that, working on a project called the Avro Arrow project. The Avro Arrow project was a project that was being worked on during World War II, or towards the mid to end of World War II, that was supposed to be just like the fastest plane you've ever fucking seen in your goddamn life. It was very impressive and was very much going to succeed, but the war ended and Canada went, well, we don't need this anymore. So all the engineers were like, let's go to NASA. It's very funny. So, like, we like to joke. I don't, like, just me and the people around me like to joke that Canada actually put the first man on the moon. We just used the American budget to get there. It's a joke. Don't get mad. It's not like it was Americans that invented the nuclear bomb either. That was a German scientist, was it not? Like, Albert Einstein wasn't American. Wait, is Alexander Graham Bell Canadian? I'm trying to remember. Hold on. I don't remember. Yes, Scottish-born Canadian-American inventor. Yeah. Yup. Alright, yeah, that's what I thought. Saying that NASA was ran by a bunch of immigrants and not good old Americans? A little bit. I'm a little bit saying that, yes. One of the things that America did right when it was the leader of, like, innovation in science and education was it was pulling people from all over the world. There were people from Russia, there were people from Germany, there were people from Canada, there were people from England, there were people from all over the world would go to America to do this, and America would poach those people and be like, hey, you're good at things? Come over here. Wait, didn't Ben Franklin rip off Nikola Tesla? Wait a minute. Wait, who am I thinking of? Is that Ben Franklin, or was that somebody else? That's the guy on the $100 bill, right? So they're referencing somebody who is just like a businessman who ripped off an actual inventor. That's so appropriate. Wait a minute. Oh, that was Edison. Oh, okay, not Benjamin Franklin. Okay. I thought I was wrong about that. Thank you. Edison is the one that ripped off Tesla. Thank you. I was about to say, like, Benjamin's the guy who's like, I'm gonna fly a kite with a key on it and invent electricity because I got struck by lightning or something, right? My history's not that great. Ever since the age of Benjamin Franklin, the United States has been at the forefront of scientific discovery and technological advancement. Beginning with the groundbreaking science of the Manhattan Project, the U.S. has developed 17 national laboratories that conduct fundamental and advanced scientific research. The national labs, have been critical in supporting national defense and ensuring that the United States leads on scientific discoveries with transformative applications that benefit America and the world. In recent years, however, U.S. science has been under threat. External adversaries like the Chinese military have been engaging in scientific espionage, infiltrating taxpayer-funded scientific research projects, and funding their own science research. Huh? 100 years off. Yeah, time doesn't mean anything to me. It's 100 years may as well be 20 minutes. In addition, the national labs have been too focused on climate change and renewable technologies. What? Why? Why? Huh? As opposed to what? What else are they supposed to be focusing on? Climate change and renewable technologies benefit everybody. And they're things that should be okay, hold on. This one little paragraph is just in direct conflict with itself, right? So it's just like, oh no, the Chinese military is stealing all of our scientific secrets and they're infiltrating our stuff. But the stuff that they're infiltrating is climate change and renewable technology, which we don't think is correct and we don't care about. So why does it matter? Like, regardless, right? And even if, like, you're just like, oh, well, because the espionage is a problem. Okay, regardless of what they're focused on. Okay, but you're making it sound like it's like a national threat to like your safety, which it's clearly not. But also, the climate change and renewable technologies are supposed to be things that are being shared due to like things like the Paris Accords or the Paris Agreements, right? Like like all of everybody is supposed to be pooling the research and stuff about climate change and renewable technologies. So is China actually poaching this stuff, or is this stuff that's supposed to be made available in the first place? Maybe if we hadn't outsourced to everything remotely, tech and manufacturing, right? Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I really feel like you're saying China's stealing this when you actually just left it on their front porch. Like, that's silly. American science dominance is critical to U.S. national security and economic strength. The next conservative president therefore needs to recommit the United States to ensuring this dominance. I mean, I don't have a problem with America having a goal of scientific and economic strength and dominance. Like, fine. But the way you go about that is what's going to be the issue, right? Like, are you going about this by educating your people and investing in socioeconomic safety nets to enable your people to be good at things? Are you funding like scholarships to convince intelligent people to travel to America to work on programs? Are you funding scientific research? Because if that's not what you're doing, whatever it is you're doing, 1, isn't going to work, 2, is a bad idea and a waste of money, and 3, is stupid. The Paris Accords that Trump pulled out of, yeah. Mission statement for a reformed Department of Energy. The Department of Energy should be renamed and refocused to the Department of Energy Security and Advanced Science. DESAS. DSAS. The DSUS is more like it. DSAS would refocus on DOE's 5 existing core missions, providing leadership and coordination on energy security and related national security issues, promoting U.S. energy economic interests abroad, leading the nation and the world in cutting-edge fundamental advanced science, remediating former Manhattan Project and Cold War nuclear material sites, and developing... Hello? What? This is... Manya? developing new nuclear weapons and naval nuclear reactors. These missions would work together by using advanced science to promote national security while getting the government out of the business of picking winners and losers in energy resources. But that's what you described earlier about putting money into oil but not putting it into the sun, I guess. I don't know. How are you going to educate me? I'm a product of public school. Well, I mean, that could be a major project that America could look into, where it's just like, we believe that the public school system has failed, and therefore we are enabling 3-hour courses available to anybody over the age of 25 for free, if you, in whatever subject. Reform is needed because DOE, instead of focusing on core energy and security issues, has been spending billions of taxpayer dollars to subsidize renewable energy developers and investors, thereby making America's less energy secure and distorting energy markets. But isn't that putting private companies and unleashing private companies in the sector of energy, which is what they said they wanted them to do? Oh, just not there. That you just want it to focus on the special interest of oil. Okay. Overview. DOE was created by the Department of Energy Organization Act of 1977 in response to the 1970s oil crisis, consolidating various energy programs that previously had operated without coordination throughout the federal government in a single department. In addition to addressing energy issues, DOE is tasked with engaging in basic fundamental science and research through the 17 national laboratories, cleaning up the Manhattan Project and Cold War nuclear material and weapon sites, developing the sites for storing of civilian nuclear waste, and developing nuclear weapons and naval reactors through the semi-autonomous National Nuclear Energy Agency, or the NNSA. Beyond these core responsibilities, DOE is currently administered billions of dollars that support research and commercialization of energy technology, provides loans to private sector for energy infrastructure and technology commercialization, and issues energy efficiency standard for appliances. More recently, DOE has focused its work on and taxpayers' money on renewable energy and climate change. So something that I think is worth pointing out here is that some of the best technologies and most used and common technologies found today are things that were invented by NASA. So, like, pens and microwaves and little dehydrated food packets. So I think it's a little bit energy security being at the whims of Saudi Arabia. Yeah, that's a good point. I just don't, and then, like, so the whole point was, like, NASA's going to do the research. The research is funded by taxpayers, and so everybody gets access to this, and then companies take that information and then turn it into a product and make it easy and viable for people to consume it, like, day to day, with different applications. What was wrong with that process? What happened? You want to go back to the good old days? Well, what happened? Unfinished Journey for 666 said, "Hell Nero, hail Chesh, and down with conspiracy theories. A Facebook friend says the government used HAARP or HARP to steer Hurricane Helen to TK land for Lee Mines." Oh, I see. This is the Marjorie Taylor Greene thing, eh? Yuck. Icky. Thank you so much. I appreciate the support. I appreciate both the financial and moral support of reading this fucking document. It is one thing for the government to engage in fundamental scientific research in the private sector. That in the private sector would not perform, particularly because advancements in science promote national security through technological prowess. Government, however, should not be picking winners and losers in dealing with energy resources or commercial technology. Such government favoritism can crowd out new innovation, devolve into cronyism, and raise energy prices for consumers and businesses. Where? What are you talking about? It is time that the United States it's time for the United States to use all of its energy resources again for the benefit of the American people. New policy energy. They keep saying these things and they're like there's no actual like Have they been adding pages since we started? I hope not. New policy energy to ensure that the American people have access to abundant, affordable, and reliable energy. DSASs on working with the energy industry and networks to ensure energy infrastructure security through science and coordination with the private sector, assessing international energy issues that constitute threat to the United States national security, promoting U.S. energy resources as a means to assist our allies, diminish our strategic adversaries, and ensure the existence of markets that will support domestic energy production. So there's something that interesting about that too. Is like, how are you going to kneecap everybody who is against America, but not kneecap your allies? So like if America is allied with Canada, right? And America decides that they hate China, right? And they say, okay, well, we're going to put in tariffs for energy. Are you going to only focus on, you're going to say, we're actually putting tariffs on China explicitly? Like, how are you going to do this? Pursuing early and advanced science, including material science that is related to energy and national security, developing the leadership necessary for the disposal of commercial and government-spent nuclear fuel. National energy security. Protecting American infrastructure from cyber and physical threats, both natural and human, is vital to national security, the economy, and the well-being of the American people. Protecting and advancing these national security interests is a proper role for the federal government. DSAS should focus on studying threats to the electrical grid, natural gas, and oil infrastructure. Oh, like climate change? Like climate change? Climate change is a threat to the electrical grid. Look at Texas. No? Sharing such information with the energy industry, promoting the reliable and security of energy resources and infrastructure, and developing strategies and technologies to combat threats by working with national labs. Okay, but you're saying you're going to share the information with the energy industry, which you were earlier saying was a threat to national security. Can you pick a fucking lane? The following offices would report to the DSAS Undersecretary of Energy Security. 1. Office of Cybersecurity, Energy Security, and Emergency Response, CESER. CESER, elevated to an assistant secretary. CESER would work with the existing or reconstituted versions, as described in more detail below, of the Office of Electricity, or OE, Office of Nuclear Energy, NE, Office of Fuel Energy, FE, currently the Office of Fossil Energy and Carbon Management, FECM, Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy, or EERE, EERE, and the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, or SPR, to identify and address threats of energy infrastructure. Instead of trying to decarbonize the American economy and allocate taxpayer dollars for commercialization of energy technologies, these offices would focus on energy security by identifying threats to energy supply infrastructure, developing strategies to address those threats, and funding fundamental science and technology where appropriate. So then how are the American people going to see their dollars return in affordable and usable energy? 2. Office of Electricity, Secretary, Assistant Secretary. Office of Nuclear Energy, Assistant Secretary. Office of Fossil Energy, Assistant Secretary, with carbon management deleted from its title and purpose. Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy, Assistant Secretary. Strategic Petroleum Reserve, standalone part of CESER. Eliminate special interest funding programs. Okay, so no special interest funding for anything. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Many DOE energy funding programs are not targeted on fundamental science and technology, instead are focused more on commercialization and act of subsidies to the private sector for government-favored resources. Okay, but if people can't use it and it's not accessible, then you're not, the science doesn't matter if nobody can use it, and it doesn't mean anything. And that means taxpayers' dollars are going out and then never returning to the taxpayer. Right? The point is that the taxpayers pay into the research and then get access to that research and products that they can utilize that is better, like, and more energy efficient, like your fucking washing machine or whatever, for a cheaper price. Right? That's what a subsidy would be. Private sector for government favored. You want to piss everybody off? You want to piss everybody off real fast? Nobody's allowed to use dishwashers anymore. Because they lose too much water. Too much energy. Make everybody mad. That's not a true thing that I just said, by the way. That's not a fact. The DOE Office of Clean Energy Demonstrations, or the OCED, Office of State and Community Energy Programs, ARPA-E, Office of Grid Deployment, OGD, and the DOE Loan Program should be eliminated or reformed. If they continue to exist, FECM, NEOE, and ERE should focus on the fundamental science and technology issues, particularly in relation to cyber and physical threats to energy security, rather than subsidizing and commercializing energy resources. Eliminate political and climate change interference in DOE approvals of liquefied natural gas, or LNG, exports. In addition, Congress should reform the Natural Gas Act to expand required approvals from merely nations with free trade agreements to all of our allies, such as NATO countries. Focus the Federal Energy Management Program, or FEMP, on ensuring the government buildings and operations have reliable and cost-effective energy. FEMP should stop using taxpayer dollars to force the purchase of more expensive and less reliable energy sources in the name of combating climate change. Ensure that information provided by the U.S. Energy Information Agency, or the EIA, a data and statistical organization, is data neutral. Okay. Focus FERC on its statutory obligation to ensure access to reliable energy at just, reasonable, and non-discriminatory rates. FERC is a 5-member commission created under the DOE Organization Act that regulates the wholesale sales of transmission of electricity, promotes electrical reliability through standards, permits natural gas pipelines and LNG export facilities, sets natural gas pipelines shipping rates, and sets oil pipeline shipping rates. It is an economic regulator and should not make itself a climate regulator. Listen, if you want to be a dick about fixing the economy, and fixing the gap in the inflation rate, the government should just make inflation illegal for the next 5 years. No prices are allowed to go anywhere but down. Either your price stays the same or your price goes down. You have no other options. If you really wanted to be super aggressive about it, that's what you would do. You would say, because we've done it with housing before, right? To be like, hey, listen, if you're renting during these years, that you're not allowed to increase rent, right? So just do that, and just do it to sales, right? Streamline the nuclear regulation requirements and licensing process. Such changes would help and then it's to incentivize people to tattle on companies that are price gouging, right? We're rolling back prices, yeah. Streamline the nuclear regulatory requirements and licensing process. Such changes would help to lower costs and accelerate the development accelerate the development of civilian nuclear, such as advanced nuclear reactors, including small modular nuclear reactors. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission, NRC, is commission tasked with licensing of civilian nuclear reactors and power plants and regulating other use of nuclear materials, such as a nuclear medicine. Although it is not a DOE agency, its jurisdiction over nuclear reactor fuel safety and trade issues often relate to or impinges on DOE jurisdiction. Chat GPT, dude. Focus on energy and science issues, not politicized social programs. Yeah, you're right. If it weren't for nepotism and cryoism, Trump wouldn't have been in cabinet. It wouldn't have any cabinet advisors. Yeah, you're right. The U.S. economy would be Thanos snapped if we have companies accountable for price gouging, at least according to investors. Yes, good? I don't understand this. Okay, so maybe this is just me. I am of the opinion, and maybe I'm radical for having this opinion, but if you can't afford to pay your lowest tier employees a livable wage if they are working 40 hours a week, you deserve to fail. It means you failed as a company. Period. End of sentence. And if you would rather see your company go under than not pay your CEO like an extraneous amount of money, then that's the choice that you as a company have decided to make. Do investors not feel like they're getting ripped off because one dude is getting rich quick scheming off of their businesses that could exist into the foreseeable future? No? Maybe I'm just not business-minded enough. Focus on energy and science issues, not politicized social programs. The next administration should stop using energy policy to advance politicized social agendas. Programs that sound innocuous, such as energy justice, Justice 40, and DEI, can be transformed to promote politicized agendas. DOE should focus on providing all Americans with access to abundant, affordable, reliable, and secure energy, and DOE should manage its employees so that everyone is treated fairly based on his or her talent, skills, and hard work. New policies, international energy security. To help the president and policymakers understand and apply U.S. energy interests in international affairs more effectively, various DOE programs office need to be reformed. You notice how they didn't explain any of that. They just stated it as if it was a fact. My unfinished sock for 222 said, "Hail Puck, use socks to like and share." Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Like, share, subscribe, send help, you know. New policies, international energies. I just read that. Promote American energy interests. The next administration should make U.S. energy dominance a key component of its foreign policy while ensuring that domestic and international goals are aligned. American energy dominance will allow the United States to secure energy for its citizens, markets for its energy exports, and access to new energy natural resources, and will provide tools for U.S. policymakers to assist our allies and deter our adversaries. DSAS should analyze U.S. international energy security interest and develop a national energy security strategy, or NESS, N-E-S-S. This strategy would take account of the energy landscape across the globe to inform the president in his foreign policy and defense roles, but it should not be a tool for the U.S. industrial policy, although it might highlight how current domestic industrial and climate policies threaten U.S. energy and national security. Yes. The Paris agreements are such a threat to America. Are they just mad that like everybody at the Paris meeting laughed at Trump and wanted nothing to do with him? Like, is that... And that's why he pulled out and everybody went, "You're ridiculous, dude." Strengthen the role of the new Department of Energy Security and Advanced Science. There are frequent turf battles on energy issues between the Department of State and DOE. Although the State Department clearly has the policy-making authority under the DOE Organization Act, it tends to ignore the expertise and perspective of DOE providers. You want experts? I thought you said you didn't want any. We're back to wanting experts again. The existing Assistant Secretary for International Affairs should provide the principal support for the DOE Secretary and Deputy Secretary on National Security Council, or NSC. Activities should interface with colleagues at the Department of Defense, State, Treasury, and Commerce, as well as the intelligence community, IC. Could you imagine if I read this like other people read other people they disagree with? Like if I was to like yellow flash or read this like I'm Aaron and be like, a new policy is advanced science to ensure that Americans continue to learn the world in fundamental science. The national lab should refocus the national science policy and review refocus the national labs on fundamental and advanced science. DOE currently oversees 17 national laboratories, and 3 national labs run by DOE's and NSA should continue to focus on national security issues. The remaining 14 science and energy labs should focus on basic research projects. Demonstrations and deployment of technology should be left to the private sector. It should be left to the private sector. I'm surprised nobody has made like a YouTube or Twitter account of my dog. Like it doesn't, there isn't like a Puck in. There's nobody like LARPing as Puck in my comment section or anything. You're giving Aaron too much credit to read and understand the words in the document. Fair. Yeah. What did he say? Yeah, yo, Flash. The remaining 14 sites should focus on basic blah 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 to the private sector. This goal can be achieved by realigning the labs to limit duplication and mission creep and maximize potential. Conduct a whole of government assessment and consolidation of science. Before the start of a new administration, there should be a review. What did I tell you? Another review. Of all the federal science agencies. This should include a review of the ill-advised attempt to expand National Science Foundation's mission from supporting university research to supporting an all-encompassing technology transition specific to DOE. There should be a review to measure, prioritize, and consolidate DOE programs based on a range of beneficial factors, including a degree of relationship to national security, furtherance of energy security, cyber, but also international aspects, and importance to scientific discovery/advancement. New policy remediations of nuclear weapons development programs and civil nuclear waste. Cleaning up the radioactive waste produced in support of the Manhattan Project and the Cold War at America's nuclear development sites is a massive, complicated process led by DOE's Office of Environmental Management. Projected liabilities and costs are to be borne by American taxpayers. According to DOE's fiscal year is not in brackets. It's not fiscal year and then FY. It's just FY 2023 budget request. A total of $887,250 billion. In addition, the federal government, and these guys were complaining about like 20 million in schooling. Like, what the fuck? In addition, the federal government is required by law to dispose of nuclear waste produced by the private sector, including spent fuel rods from nuclear power plants. The new DSAS should continue DOE's remediation of radioactive waste created by nuclear weapons projects from the Manhattan Project and Cold War. Strong leadership focused on accelerating the cleanup, coupled with technical administration and innovation, will be needed to reduce the federal government's third largest liability. Develop a new approach that increases the level of private sector responsibility for disposal of nuclear waste. Disposing of civilian nuclear waste is an important national issue that requires strong scientific study. According to an independent audit conducted by the public accounting firm KPMG, the Nuclear Waste Fund holds $46 billion in payments by utilities and their ratepayers, plus interest for the permanent waste disposal site for spent nuclear fuel and other nuclear waste. The licensing process for Yucca Mountain as a permanent repository for spent nuclear fuel is on hold. Without storage sites, spent nuclear fuel fuel remains temporarily stored in nuclear plants. In addition to permanent storage, low-level nuclear waste facilities are needed. We've done videos about nuclear waste and stuff in the past when we were talking about like fusion and fission and stuff, so please go and check those out if you're interested. I probably should bring Landon on, Landon and Dapper, and have a little bit of conversation about nuclear waste. Remind me. New policies, NNS. Pronounced yayo. Hey, there's a puck. So I'm just saying, just for funsies, because this is what, like, if I could do it, I would be doing it. You could totally take screenshots anytime Puck is around and post them to social media as, like, the Puck social media. And, like, if you have, feel free to, like, repost the shorts of him or whatever. If you get little clips of him from videos, feel free, please, by all means, yeah, go for it. Wait, we haven't solved the nuclear waste from the Manhattan Project? That was 80 years ago. Yeah. Hi, Honest Red, good to see you. The U.S. nuclear arsenal needs to be updated and reinvigorated if we're to be able to deal effectively with threats from China, Russia, and other adversaries. As a semi-autonomous agency, the NNSA has the primary responsibility for researching and designing new nuclear warheads and for ensuring that the existing nuclear arsenal is still potent. Sorry, I'm getting warm. I do appreciate it that I got my my Borderlands shirt on from when I worked at Blockbuster when I worked at EB Games when this game actually came out. That's how old this shirt is. 36 pages to go in this chapter. Good grief. Oh boy. Well, we're not even an hour in, so we're doing pretty good. We're on 404. Page 404. Logic not found. The U.S. nuclear, or blah, 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 Russia, China, as a semi-autonomous agency, the NNSA has the primary responsibility for researching and designing new nuclear warheads and for ensuring that the existing nuclear arsenal is still potent. These efforts require significant funding and scientific know-how. In addition, NNSA develops and designs nuclear propulsion reactors for the U.S. Navy. The NNSA also plays a role in preventing nuclear proliferation. With strong leadership by the Secretary of DSAS, the next administration should fund the design, development, and deployment of new nuclear warheads, including the production of plutonium pits in quantity, expand the U.S. Navy, and develop new nuclear naval reactors to ensure that the Navy has the nuclear propulsion it needs to secure America's strategic interests. And ineffective and counterproductive non-proliferation activities like those involving Iran and the United Nations. I'm not allowed to be paid. No. I'm just a poor boy. Nobody loves me. Budget DOE total fiscal year 2023 budget request, which does not include IIJA, IRA, and CHIPS, CHIPS, and Scientific Act funding. I don't know what CHIPS is. They have not used that acronym yet. Was 48,183,451. Billion. $48,183,451,000. There we go. There's an extra tens there. Many DOE activities are required by various authorization and appropriation bills to implement many of these policies contained in these proposals. Several laws will need to be amended, including the Department of Energy Organization Act, the IIJA, the IRA, and possibly portions of CHIPS, creating healthy incentives to produce semiconductors. Now we know what CHIPS is. Thank you. And Science Act. Ending taxpayer subsidies will promote an all-of-the-above energy policy, lead more energy resources, reducing costs, and save taxpayers billions of dollars. I would like to point out, they are not necessarily saying to reduce this. They are saying to reorganize it, but still use the same amount of money. This is $48 billion This is more money than in education for the entire country. And they want to, that US taxpayers are spending more funding things like the military and nuclear reactors for naval ships than they are invested in their own children. So a parent out there spends more in taxes on the Navy than they do their own child's future or current living status or their education or even their food. Even if you were to take like all of the money that you pay when you buy groceries, the taxes that you pay on groceries, the taxes that you pay on diapers, the taxes that you pay on school supplies, none of that goes back to the portion of that actually goes back to your kid and what you actually want to be invested in is like nothing. It's nothing. And they want to cut it further. Just to be clear. Office of Cybersecurity, Energy Security, and Emergency Response, CSER. Mission/overview. CSER's mission is to, quote, enhance the security and resilience of U.S. critical energy infrastructure to all hazards, and, quote, to, quote, mitigate the impacts of disruptive events and risks to the sector overall through preparedness and innovation, end quote, and to, quote, respond to and facilitate recovery from energy distributions in collaboration with other federal agencies, the private sector, and state, local, tribal, and territorial governments. Needed reforms. The threats to the U.S. Energy infrastructure are real and persistent, and CSER's role working to support national security by working with the private sector to ensure energy security is a proper one for government. Though CSER is properly focused on the threat to the grid from inverter-based resources like wind and solar, it needs to focus on the entire energy system, including the interdependence between natural gas and electric generation and cybersecurity. A good first step would be to reinstate an iteration of the Trump administration's Executive Order 13,920 or 13920, quote, securing the United States bulk power system. The Biden administration also placed the Strategic Petroleum Reserves, SPR, and the DOE's Federal Power Act 202C authority under CSER office, which should continue in the next administration. Whoops, Biden did something right. They can't say that. Nothing really matters to me, right? New policies. CSER should be refocused to prioritize the cybersecurity, physical security, and resilience of critical infrastructure through research and development, technical assistance to states and industry, and emergency exercises. CSER can make a difference in our energy security posture. Budget. CSER receives $177 million for fiscal year 2022 under the Energy and Water Development and Related Agency Appropriation Bill 2022, and $550 million through the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. In fiscal year 2023, the budget request is $202 million. In addition, the White House has sent a letter to Congress requesting additional appropriations of $500 million to monetize the SPR, Office of Electricity Mission Overview. OE was created after the 2003 blackouts to improve grid reliability and energy insurance. OE works to defend and promote the reliability and resiliency of the electrical grid through power grid modeling and analytics, cyber resilience programs, and coordination with private sector electricity providers. It also works to identify the defense critical electric infrastructure. So the private sector is already working in electricity, by the way, if that wasn't clear. Needed reforms. Focus more intently on grid reliability. There are significant cyber, physical, and reliability threats to the electrical grid, and it is important that the government agency with access to national security information develops data and plans to address threats to the grid and assist the private sector in securing it. Although OE does not stand out as a problematic office, additional focus and priority could be given to its original mission of working on grid reliability and resilience. How are you going to add to that? Oh, how are you going to be more focused? OE could be combined with Caesar as well as what is left of the Grid Development Office if it is eliminated. Eliminate applied programs. OE administers grant programs for things like energy storage and the testing of grid-enhanced technologies, or GETS, G-E-T, small s. These programs should be eliminated. The next administration should work with Congress to eliminate all DOE applied energy programs, including OE, except perhaps those related to basic science for new energy technology. What? So they're sitting here complaining that things aren't reliable enough, and they're sitting here bitching and moaning, and then they're like, yeah, but get rid of all the safety nets and get rid of everything that makes sure everything works. What in the fuck? Remember what I said earlier? Every chapter is them saying like, hey, here's a vague issue that we're stating that this is the problem for, and that these things are happening, and it's just a fucking big ass circle jerk. This is insane. New policies. Prioritize grid security. OE, along with Caesar, if they are combined, should focus on the security of critical infrastructure. How is that being more focused? That's less focused. Security, that builds also in redundant, whatever. Whatever, I can't. On the security of critical infrastructure equipment used in the bulk of power systems as envisioned in President Trump's May 2020 Executive Order 13,920 or 13920 and related December 2020 Prohibition Order, which was revoked in April 2021 by the Biden administration. In addition, Caesar/OE should focus on the interdependence of and threats to electric generation and natural gas pipelines, continue to focus on defense critical electrical infrastructure, and work with FERC and National American Electric Reliability Corporation, or NERC, NERC, to ensure that there is sufficient dispatchable on-demand generation available to generate electricity the grid needs when intermittent generations like wind and solar are not available. You know, when the sun just turns off. End funding of programs for commercial technology and deployment. The next administration should work with Congress to eliminate non-essential funding of commercial technologies and deployment. These activities can be conducted by the private sector. Basically, if this was happening back in the good old days, nobody would get pens and nobody would get microwaves. Budget. OE's fiscal year 2021 enacted a budget that was $211,720,000, and DOE has requested $297,386,000 for fiscal year of 2023. That's not that big of a jump, actually. Given inflation, I mean, like, it's relative, but you know what I mean. Office of Nuclear Energy, NE, mission/overview. The Office of Nuclear Energy's, quote, mission is to advance nuclear energy science and technology to meet U.S. energy, environmental, and economic needs, and, quote, it has 5 stated goals. Enable continued operation of existing nuclear reactors, enable deployment of advanced nuclear reactors, develop advanced nuclear fuel cycles, maintain U.S. leadership in nuclear energy technology, and enable a high-performing organization, end quote. Under the Nuclear Waste Policy Act, the Office of Nuclear Energy, quote, has also been responsible for the DOE's statutory requirements to collect and dispose of spent nuclear fuel since the Obama administration's dissolution of the Office of Civilian Radioactive Waste Management. Needed reforms. NE is too influential in driving business decisions of commercial nuclear energy firms. Instead of focusing on a limited set of basic research and development activities that solve foundational technical issues that apply broadly to energy program, NE intervenes in nearly all aspects of commercial nuclear energy industry. Absent wholesale reforms that restructure the federal energy and science bureaucracy to eliminate such functions, energy offices and administration should substantially limit NE's size and scope, adopt broader regulatory and energy policy reforms that reduce regulatory obstacles, allow all energy sources to compete fairly in the marketplace, and establish a predictable policy environment. This will avoid unfair bias against nuclear industry. Okay, tell me if I'm wrong. The The fucking, maybe I'm misunderstanding this, but are they just saying that nuclear power should go unregulated and like nuclear energy should go unregulated? Because like I don't know if I would trust McDonald's with a nuclear power plant. You know what I mean? New policies. NE should transition to a more limited scope of responsibilities that focus on basic research, solving broadly applicable technology challenges, and solving nuclear waste management issues as it relates to the development and deployment of advanced next generation reactors, which could include small modular reactors (SMR), while respecting existing contractual obligations. NE should not initiate any new civilian reactor demonstrations and commercialization projects. NE should also focus on overcoming technical barriers that are preventing commercial reactor demonstration projects from moving forward. Any activities in support of existing nuclear plants and any other projects directed under commercialization should, including licensing support, should be shouldered by the private sector. Yeah, this is just deregulating nuclear energy, right? For rich people. I think Chesh is referring to things like space pens. Yeah. Space hammers, microwaves, and all the other broad categories of innovations resulting from space research. Yes, correct. That is what I'm referring to. Reorganizing its remaining activities into 3 basic lines of responsibility: nuclear fuels across the fuel cycle, and reactor technology, and civilian radioactive waste. Hi, Puck. He just poked his head in and then left. Yeah. Budget. The above reforms would cost substantially less than the $1,675,060,000 requested for fiscal year 2023. Legislation such as IIJA. How? In what way? Such as and how are you going to pay for the fallout? IIJA placed additional funding for new reactors demonstrations projects outside of NE. These responsibilities and their associated funds should be moved to NE as appropriate. NE should not simply add or subtract programs, as some programs may help to support NE's new priorities. The better approach would be to build a new budget and program strategy that accounts for related DOE programs and submit a new budget request reflecting NE's new priorities. Office of Fossil Energy and Carbon Management, FECM. Mission overview. DOE is authorized by law to increase the conversion. Yes. Efficiency of all forms of fossil energy, reduce costs, improve environmental performance, and increase the energy security of the United States. In recent years, the Office of Fossil Energy, FE, has been transformed from its statutory role of improving fossil energy production to one that is focused primarily on reducing carbon dioxide emissions from fossil fuel extraction, transport, and combustion. These changes is reflected in the office's new name, the Office of Fossil Energy and Carbon Management, FECM. Effective as of July 2021, the FECM's mission, quote, to minimize the environmental impacts of fossil fuels while working towards net zero emissions. Yeah, that's scientific advancement. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. These are arguments that current nuke regs are overly restrictive, thus regulations could be loosened up some, making it more practical to broaden its use while still maintaining safety sufficiency. There are arguments. Oh, I do not doubt that. I wouldn't trust these people who are saying to deregulate it in its entirety. Needed reforms. Eliminate carbon capture, utilization, and storage (CCUS) programs. Despite the recent expansion of the 45Q tax credit for carbon capture, utilization, and storage (CCUS) to $87 per ton, most carbon capture technologies remain economically unviable, although private sector innovations are on the horizon. CCUS programs should be left to the private sector to develop. If the office continues any CCUS research, that research should be focused more on innovative utilization. That's the same. I hate you. I hate this document. Pursue, I'm not even explaining why that's dumb from one section to the other. I'm sure you guys can figure it out. Pursue the processing. Pursue the processing of critical materials. Development of domestic critical material sources is important for national security, as the vast majority of critical materials are mined or processed, or both, in Russia and China. The processing of critical materials from fossil fuel waste products, primarily coal, has shown some potential, and in view of our vast domestic reserves of coal and abundant waste from coal mining and combustion, should be pursued. New policies. Eliminate FECM. The next administration should work with Congress to eliminate all the DOE's applied energy programs, including those in FECM, with the possible exception of those that are related to basic science for new energy technology. Taxpayer dollars should not be used to subsidize preferred businesses and energy resources, thereby distorting the market and undermining energy reliability. Rename FECM, if it cannot be eliminated, under its original designation of the Office of Fossil Energy, with its original mission to increase energy security and supply through fossil fuels. Again, we're back to, just because you can make something go faster doesn't mean it's safe to do so, or entirely a good idea. Sprinting is not a good idea in a long form run. You know what I mean? Focus on energy security and supply. Absent elimination of FECM, Congress should direct FECM appropriations towards increasing energy security and supply. Congress has already directed these goals, including the reduction of costs. Ensure that LNG export approvals are reviewed and processed in a timely manner. In particular, ensure that LNG export applications are reviewed and approved expeditiously. Maintain that doesn't mean anything. Maintain the categorical exclusion from the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA or NEPA, for LNG's export that was established by the Trump administration, or if it is revoked by the Biden administration, reinstate it. Work with Congress to expand automatic approvals to include allies such as NATO, as well as nations that have free trade agreements with the United States. Strategic Petroleum Reserve, or SPR. The Biden administration moved responsibility for the SPR to Caesar. Regardless of where the responsibility lies, the new DSAS should ensure that SPR is maintained for national security purposes and not misused for political gain. Budget. The fiscal year 2023 budget request for FECM was approximately $893.2 million. FECM's requested appropriation can be compared to more than $4.0 billion requested for the Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy. The disparity in funding demonstrates how DOE's research activities and substantial portions of its organizational structure are now focused entirely on the reduction of CO2 emissions rather than energy access or energy security. Reducing CO2 is energy security and energy access. Reducing CO2 by enabling more and different options and various ways of creating energy and making it accessible to people is access and energy security. This document is fucking insane. Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy, EERE. That's awesome that you got some books. How mad was the company after last night? I don't know. I don't care. Mission overview. The Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy traces its roots to the Energy Policy and Conservation Act of 1975, but most of its programs today are rooted in Energy Policy of 2005. Under the Biden administration, EERE's mission is to, quote, to accelerate the research, development, demonstration, and deployment of technologies and solutions equitably transition America to net zero greenhouse gas GHG emissions economy-wide by no later than 2050, end quote, and, quote, ensure that the clean energy economy benefits all Americans, end quote. The office is made up of 3 pillars: energy efficiency, renewable energy, and sustainable transportation. Needed reforms. End the focus on climate change and green subsidies. Under the Biden administration's EERE is a conduit for taxpayer dollars to fund progressive policies, including decarbonization of the economy and renewable resources. EERE has focused on reducing carbon dioxide emissions to the exclusion of other statutorily defined requirements such as energy security and cost. For example, EERE's five programmatic priorities during the Biden administration are all focused on decarbonization of the electricity sector, the industrial sector, transportation, buildings, and the agriculture sector. But all of those things are needed for security, you insane people. They're mustache twirling villains. They're bad guys from Captain Planet. Captain Planet's too woke, guys. Eliminate energy efficiency standards for appliances. Pursuant to the Energy Policy and Conservation Act of 1975, as amended, the energy is required to set and periodically tighten energy and or water efficiency standards for nearly all kinds of commercial and household appliances, including air conditioners, furnaces, water heaters, stoves, clothes washers and dryers, refrigerators, dishwashers, light bulbs, and shower heads. Current law and regulations reduce consumer choice, driving up costs for consumer appliances and emphasizing energy efficiency exclusion of other important factors such as cycle time and repairability. Hey, those things matter. Also, side note, if you really want to look into something that's crazy and wacky, look at the light bulb industry. By the industry, I mean look at the companies who own light bulbs and why there's specific wattages and why all light bulbs are kind of the same. And there's only a few options of companies. Go look that up. Go look that up and leave me a comment. It's gonna blow your mind. New policies. Eliminate EERE. Everything is just eliminate it. Just eliminate the whole thing. That's all they've said. All they've suggested so far is eliminating shit. The next administration should work with Congress to eliminate all of DOE's applied energy programs. All DOE's applied energy programs, including those in EERE, bracket, with the possible exception for those that are related to basic science for new energy technology. I don't know if you know this, but repairability and energy cycles and developing washer dryers and light bulbs that are more efficient are new energy technologies. You crackhead. Taxpayer dollars should not be used to subsidize preferred businesses and energy resources, thereby distorting the market and undermining energy reliability. They're a broken record. Reduce EERE's funding. If EERE cannot be eliminated, then the administration should engage with Congress and the House Senate appropriation committees on EERE's budget. So if we can't get rid of them, make them completely ineffectual and a waste of money. They're basically saying, hey, this thing that's working and doing its job, get rid of it. If we can't get rid of it, waste taxpayers' dollars by making them completely ineffective. EERE's budget was around $1.5 billion a year when the advancements were made that led to dramatic cost decreases in wind, solar, and battery technologies. Oh, so it was effective. In recent years, Congress has appropriated many billions of dollars to in excess of EERE's normal budget. No, what is a normal budget when you have insane inflation? That doesn't mean anything. DOE requested more than $4.0 billion for fiscal year of 2023. That is not that bad of a change between 1.5 to 4 over the course of X number of years that they're not specifying, by the way. And given the current inflation rate, if it should rescind these excess monies so that DOE is not required to spend them. If funding cannot be reduced, then it should be reallocated to more fundamental research and less towards commercialized deployment. Yeah, so make them obsolete and useless. So waste taxpayer money. Focus on fundamental science and research. If EERE cannot be eliminated, then the administration should focus on a broader and more fundamental energy research consistent with law, as if researching solar energy isn't legal. The Biden administration is too focused on deploying technologies instead of relying on the private sector. How? Moreover, under Biden administration's EERE is too focused on decarbonization and not at all on the cost of energy. That's part of the cost of energy. These things are all intertwined. Treating them as if they exist in a bubble is insane. Eliminate energy efficiency standards for appliances. The next administration should work with Congress to modify or repeal the law mandating energy efficiency standards. Eliminate energy efficiency standards? Before or in lieu of repealing the law, there are many steps the agency can take to refocus on consumer by giving full force of the provisions already in the law that serve to limit regulatory overreach and protect against excessively stringent standards. For example, the Trump DOE prioritized the relatively few appliance regulations that were likely to save consumers the most energy and refrain from those whose modest benefit are unlikely to justify the cost. It also took steps to ensure that any new standards do not compromise product quality or eliminate any features. Tell that to Twitter. These and other consumer protections are in this statute but have often been ignored. Citation needed, I guess. I don't know. Budget. EERE was funded at slightly more than $2.8 billion in fiscal year 2021, and DOE requested slightly more than $4 billion in fiscal year of 2023. Oh, wow, go figure. There's been a handful of years of insane inflation due to price gouging. The government's not immune to inflation, although that would be an interesting concept. Could you make the government immune to inflation? Congress needs to rescind the appropriated monies that EERE has not spent and to begin fresh with new appropriations. Grid Development Office, the GDO, Mission Overview. The Grid Development Office was established to implement parts of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. Pursuant to the IIJA, GDO administer funds appropriated by Congress to support transmissions expansion and low/zero carbon resources. In addition, GDO, I'm going to struggle with that one, is developing studies of the electrical grid to address congestion, enhance reliability and resilience, and promote clean energy. I don't know why clean's in quotes, but sure. Need to reform, end grid planning, and focus instead on reliability. This whole section has just been turn it off, turn it off, turn it off, turn it off. Just end all of these programs. All of these things that have been in place, get rid of all of them. Trump requested $31.7 billion for himself for the Department of Energy. Yeah, of course he did. Fucking of course he did. FERC and NERC have the primary responsibility for addressing reliability. States have you want to talk about waste of taxpayer dollars? The amount of settlements that have to be paid to civilians due to police both overreach and brutality. Maybe that would be a good place to start. And you've provided a source. Of course you provided a source. Of course you provided a source. I'll show it real quick. Here it is. Department of U.S. Energy media contact for blah, blah. President Trump releases fiscal year 2020 budget request. Today, President Trump unveiled his fiscal year 2020 budget request, including $31.7 billion to fund the Department of Energy. So there you go. States have the primary authority to site and permit transmission lines, and regional transmission organizations assist in planning regional transmission needs for parts of the country, but Congress granted some grid planning and sitting authority to FERC and DOE through the Energy Policy Act of 2005 and IIJA, as well as the grid funding through the Inflation Reduction Act. Instead of focusing on grid expansion for the benefit of renewable resources or supporting low/carbon generation, GDO should be incorporated into the Reform Office of Cybersecurity, Energy Security, and Energy and Emergency Response, which would work to enhance the grid's reliability and resilience. To the extent that they remain in effect, the funding programs that GDO oversees, the administration should emphasize grid reliability, not renewable expansion. Why not? Renewable expansion is part of the reliability of the grid, though. Again, this is insane. I mean, it's more in contrast of what the document actually shows, an absurd lack of references. Yeah, no, you're 100% right. That not only does this document just make a bunch of claims that are arbitrary and are self-referential, but also, like, doesn't provide, like, proper citations for a lot of its general statements, and is very obvious when they don't want you to look at, they only want you to look at the Biden administration. They don't want you to look at or know about anything prior to that. Consider whether to defund the civil nuclear tax credit program and hydroelectric power efficiency and production incentives established in the IIJA and administered through GDO. If subsidies for renewable resources are not repealed, it may be necessary to continue subsidies for nuclear and hydro to ensure grid reliability. New policies. Eliminate GDO and assign necessary activities to reform CSER. So they want to, instead of having like these smaller groups that are hyper-focused on these things, they want to turn it into a bureaucratic nightmare of crosstalk. It appears that the GDO's current purpose is to promote the integration of low/zero carbon resources into the power grid by supporting subsidies for such resources and building new transmission facilities at the cost of that poses a barrier to renewable generation expansion. However, some of the grants that it administered under the IIJA appear to be properly focused on enhancing the reliability and security of the electrical grid. They should be reassigned to the reformed and expanded CSER. And DOE/GDO's role in grid planning for the benefit of renewable developers. Under the Energy Policy Act of 2005, the IIJA DOE is to perform grid congestion studies and has authority to identify national interest electric transmission corridors, or NIETC. Under the Biden administration, GDO is working on National Transmission Planning Study, and it is administering a $2.5 billion to support, quote, nationally significant transmission lines, increase resilience by connecting regions of the country, and improve access to cheaper and clean energy resources. And you want to end that. Oh, okay. Defund most GOD programs. GDO programs. GDO oversees nearly $20 billion in new appropriations created by IIJA, including a grid monetization grant program, the transmission facilitation program, and the civil nuclear credit program, among others. Congress should rescind any money not already spent. Budget. Congress appropriated $10 million for GDO, which is nothing, in fiscal year of 2021, and has requested a $90.2 million in fiscal year 2023. Office of Clean Energy Demonstration, or OCED, mission overview. The OCED was established in December of 2021 to implement the IIJA. Its mission is, quote, to deliver clean energy demonstration projects at scale in partnership with the private sector to accelerate development, market adoption, and equitable transition to decarbonized energy system. You see that it says transition to, not just completely eliminate right now. Needed reforms, end market distortions, and stop shifting technologies and development risks to taxpayers. The OCED, do any of these things have like something written in them about what they're actually going to do as opposed to what they're saying nobody should do? All of this is turn this off, not actually do anything. They just want to shut the government down. And particularly anything that's beneficial to the American people. The government subsidized, the IIJA provided more than $20 billion in government subsidies to help the private sector deploy the market clean energy and decarbonizing resources. The government should not be picking winners and losers and should not be subsidizing the private sector to bring resources to market. New policies. Eliminate OCED. This is basically like, let the corporations figure it out, because they're definitely, that will correct itself and fix itself. Right. That's definitely not why we're in the crisis we're in right now. Right. To quote Manya, what are you doing? Eliminate eliminate OCED. The next administration should work with Congress to eliminate all DOE energy demonstration programs, including those in OCED. Taxpayer dollars should not be used to subsidize preferred businesses and energy resources. But the customer for the energies is the taxpayer. That's how you get your tax money back. That's how it's supposed. These guys don't know what taxes are. Thereby distorting the market and undermining energy reliability. No, wrong, rejected, incorrect. Refocus on resources that will support reliability. To the extent that the various energy research and development funding authorities cannot be repealed, funded projects should be consistent with the programmatic goals of the next administration. For example, the already awarded Advanced Reactor Demonstration Program should help move SMRs from pilot scale to commercialization, and in the process address material, fuel, and regulatory issues that pose deployment risks to utilities and Wall Street. Yes, we must be concerned about Wall Street, right? Here's the thing. You can't just cut a program that the government has already like made a commitment towards halfway through and then be like, see, it failed. Budget. DOE's fiscal year 2023 budget requests include $214 million, quote, to initiate a new $150 million competition to support demonstrations that address integration issues of renewable energy to the U.S. transmissions and distribution grids, end quote. Overall, quote, $21.5 billion provided by the bipartisan infrastructure law, and, quote, supports several OCED programs. So they just admitted that the budget and its intentions of like the goal of the program was bipartisan. This trash is depressingly stupid. You are correct. I agree. Advanced reactor demonstration projects, $2.5 billion. Carbon capture large-scale pilot projects, $937 million. Carbon capture demonstration project programs, $2.5 billion. Clean energy demonstration programs on current and former mine land, $500 million. Energy improvements in rural or remote areas, for $1 billion. Industrial demonstration programs, $6.3 billion. Long duration energy storage demonstrations, $505 million. Regional clean energy hubs, $8 billion. Regional direct air capture hubs, $3.5 billion. Personal. By drawing resources from across DOE, and the OCED had already grown to 70 personnel in 6 months. Yeah. If OCED is eliminated, these positions can be eliminated. So 70 people without jobs, cool. If OCED is reduced, its personnel can be reduced to fit its scope. Can I point out that that's still not even close to the $44 billion? Like, how much did Elon spend again on buying Twitter? $44 billion? Twitter is more expensive than the whole ass fucking energy budget? Are you fucking kidding me, dude? 44 billion, right? I was like fucking questioning, I was gaslighting myself to be like, there's no way. It had to have been million, right? No, billion. $44 billion. Loan Program Office. LPO mission overview, quote, LPO's mission is to finance next generation U.S. energy infrastructure, serve as a bridge to bankability for through breakthrough projects and technologies, and de-risk them at early stages of investment so they can be developed at commercial scale and achieve market acceptance, end quote. Oh, so that the private sector making it affordable and not making it a taxpayer risk like they've been presenting it as. Got it. Unfucking real. Cancel the party. It's got the word buy in it. Fuck. The Biden administration. Oh, that's why they don't like him. Directed the program. I would like you to take this sexual, gender orientated language out of this document, please. Thank you. The Biden administration directed the program to subsidize the administration's, quote, net zero energy transition away from conventional fuels by 2050 and to promote union jobs and domestic supply chains. The LPO coordinates with the U.S. Treasury, federal... Yeah, listen, Manya, I know you're messaging me. We can all hear it. we know. The LPO's coordinates with the U.S. Treasury Federal Financing Bank is organized into 7 divisions: outreach and business development, organization portfolio. God damn it, Crusher! Yeah, we can hear it. It's coming through. You're good. You're fine. Unless this is something that, yeah, don't worry about it. Unless you need me to stop streaming and look at something, it's good. I'll get to you as soon as I'm done. Don't panic. Don't panic. Mania's doing the Homer Simpson back into the fucking back into the bush. God damn it! Now everybody's messaging me. Motherfuckers. Oh my god, no, we still have a half an hour left of this. The LPO's coordinates with the U.S. Treasury Federal Financing Bank and is organized into 7 divisions: outreach and business development, organization, portfolio management, risk management, technical and project management, legal and management operations. Is loan programs were originally designed as temporary programs but have since been amended and expanded. Specifically, the IRA expanded, that this is a citation, the IRA expanded the authority in LPO's existing programs 1703 ATVM and tribal energy finances by $100 billion. IRA also created an energy infrastructure reinvestment EIR financing program of 1706 or 1706, which can be support up to $250 billion in loan authority. The CO2 Infrastructure Finance and Innovation Act, or CIFIA, authorized by the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, appropriates $2.1 billion to support approximately $25 billion in flexible low-interest loans. The new legislation will create jobs and wealth, address environmental justice and equity priorities, and strengthen our energy security and supply chain. All of these things seem to have been set and put in place to increase, to strengthen energy security and supply chains and research and this energy safety and security. All of the things that they're saying to shut down are all intended and working towards making the things they're complaining about better. So they just want to shut it down. Needed reforms. It's not a reform if it's just turn it off and take its money. That's not a reform at this point, right? It's just a retraction. Removal. It's not a reform at that point, right? Needed reforms. Taxpayers should not be backing risky business ventures, but they already talked about that to make it less risky. Like, business ventures or politically preferred commercial enterprises. To save tax dollars or reduce current risk, the new administration should not back any new loans or loan guarantees, should seek to sunset DOE loans authority through Congress and eventually eliminate the loan program office. See? Get rid of it. Everything is get rid of it. DOE, let me know as soon as you guys see them saying that they're not going to get rid of something and they're actually going to implement something, because that doesn't seem to be the case. Everything is just remove. Any change or implementation, the process by which they implement these things is just removal of over the programs. So until they actually bring up something new that they're actually intending on implementing that is going to be better and good for the American people, this document needs to fucking die in a fire. DOE-backed loans and loan guarantees put taxpayers at undue risk, distort private sector investment decisions, shift private money towards projects with political support, and create additional barriers to entry for companies that are outside of the government's definition of innovative, or for companies that choose to not participate. This is like saying, well, why does the government get to choose what is and is not innovative? well, the government is making that decision based on the collective decision of the social expectation of the time period. So it's not really the government making that decision, it's the people making that decision, right? New policies. To the extent that DOE loan programs cannot be repealed, the new administration should strengthen due diligence and increase transparency in DOE loan programs, limit the use of new loan or loan guarantee authority to projects that will promote the reliability and resilience of the electric grid and other energy infrastructure and support national security objectives, establish clear mandatory qualifications requiring applicants to comply with Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act 58, Uyghur, and to certify that they are not financed with any other local, state, or federal taxpayer-backed loan guarantee, or bond such as state green bank. So let it keep doing. So if we can't get rid of it, let it try to keep doing what we're doing, but slash it and kneecap it. Break its kneecaps. Mission over Advanced Research Projects Energy Agency Energy ARPA-E. Mission overview. ARPA-E was created in 2007 as part of the American Competes, creating opportunities to meaningfully promote Excellence in Technology Education Act. Its statutory goals is quote, to enhance the economic and energy security of the United States through the development of energy technologies that reduce imports of energy from foreign sources, reduce energy-related emissions, including greenhouse gases, improve the energy efficiency of all economic sectors, and ensure that the United States maintains technological lead in developing and deploying advanced energy technologies, end quote. Some in Congress see ARPA-E as beneficial because the Competes Act provides it with more bureaucratic flexibility than other programs are allowed. Its goals are essentially the same as those of the DOE's applied energy offices, but its structure is different, and it is focused around individual programs instead of around offices with long-term agendas. Needed reforms. Stop risking taxpayer dollars as virtue capital for the private sector. ARPA-E 10. Then how are you going to get the private sector to invest in what you want? You're saying force them to make all this risk to take it off of the taxpayers, but to also not put the government in charge of making these changes or doing these things in energy and put it on the private sector in its entirety. So now you're saying that the private sector needs to make innovations, needs to take great financial risks to then make something accessible for the people, and we're expecting them to do that. Why would they do that? Why would the private sector want to invest in any of this? ARPA-E tends to see its mission as bringing technology from idea to commercialization, often called the investment trough. ARPA-E is effectively funding projects that the private sector is unwilling to fund. Okay, that doesn't mean every project. It means project that in private sector isn't interested in but is valuable. Because capitalism isn't the only way to do things, and just because something doesn't make a lot of money doesn't mean it shouldn't be invested in. Taxpayers should not in effect be picking winners and losers. Yes, they should. Yes, they should. The taxpayers absolutely should be in charge of what energy they want their government and their country to utilize and invest in. The taxpayers absolutely should be the ones in charge of this. 100%. Absolutely, the taxpayers should 100% be doing that. That is just wrong. That is the customers are the taxpayers. Having their dollars at risk but not gaining the economic rewards of success. You don't know what taxes are. And duplicative efforts. Another problem is that the ARPA-E's mission is similar to the mission of the DOE's Applied Energy Office. If DOE's Applied Energy Office is doing their job correctly, they will use funding opportunities, announcements, prizes, lab calls, and other funding mechanisms that are needed to accomplish a specific goal. In other words, the ARPA-E is at best duplicative the work done by other DOE offices. No, you already explained how that's not even the case. Long-term versus short-term are very different things. New policies. Eliminate ARPA-E. The next administration should work with Congress to eliminate ARPA-E. The agency is unnecessary, risk taxpayer dollars, and interferes with risk-benefit decisions that should be made by the private sector. Because money runs the world. Budget. Congress appropriated $427 million for ARPA-E in fiscal year 2021 and slightly more than $700 million as to be requested for fiscal year 2023. Again, I would like to point out and compare all of these budgetary numbers to Elon Musk spending $44 billion alone. Elon Musk, a singular person in America, spending $44 billion on Twitter, on one social media app. Really smart, efficient spending and usage of that money. Federal Energy Management Program. Mission overview. The Federal Energy Management Program, or FEMP, FEMP, describes its mission as working with, quote, other federal agencies to meet energy-related goals, identify affordable solutions, facilitate public-private partnerships, and provide energy leadership to the countries by identifying government best practices, end quote. Congress has created a number of energy and energy efficiency requirements and guidelines for federal agencies, and FEMP works with those agencies to help them meet their congressionally mandated goals. Needed reforms. As the world's largest single energy consumer, the federal government should use energy efficiently and cost effectively, especially because the taxpayer is paying the energy bill. The Obama administration required the Obama administration required the federal government to set extra statutory and aggressive goals regarding the use of renewable energy. The Trump administration took a less aggressive approach in Executive Order 13843 or 13,834, which specified that, quote, each agency shall prioritize actions that reduce waste, cut costs, enhance the resilience of the federal infrastructure and operations, and enable more effective accomplishment of its mission, end quote. New policies. The conservative administration should follow the language of Executive Order 13834 or 13,834 and direct federal agencies to, quote, to reduce waste, cut costs, enhance... Just repeating yourself. Stop fucking padding your word count, you bloated piece of shit. Enhance resilience of federal infrastructure and operations and enable a more effective accomplishment of its mission, quote, end quote. For FEMP, this means focusing on helping federal agencies to follow the law and use energy efficiency and cost effectively. Budget. FEMP was funded $40 million in fiscal year of 2022 and slightly less than $170 million is requested for fiscal year 2023. If it is focused on helping the federal government to carry out a statutory-based energy goal, much less money is needed. Why? How? Clean Energy Corps. Mission overview. Under the IIJA, quote, the Clean Energy Corps is charged with investing more than $62 billion. Oh, slightly more than Elon Musk buying Twitter. To deliver a more equitable clean energy future for the American people, end quote. That is just under $20 billion more than the cost of Twitter. For the entirety of America's future in energy. Just to be clear. The Corp said that it will... How many cups of coffee is that? How many avocados on toast would it take to buy Twitter? Can somebody do the math? How many avocado and toasts at an average price in America would I be able to get for $44 billion? The Corp said that it will, quote, focus on deploying next generation clean energy technology to help Americans meet its goal of carbon-free power in the sector in 2035 and decarbonize the economy by 2050. Needed reforms. The Clean Energy Corps is a taxpayer-funded program to create new government jobs for employees, quote, who will work together to research, develop, demonstrate, and deploy solutions to climate change, end quote. DOE participants recruiting an additional 1,000 employees use a special hiring authority included in the bipartisan infrastructure law, end quote. Taxpayers should not have to fund a cadre of federal employees to promote a partisan political agenda. Eliminate clean energy, a new policy. It's not a new policy. You're just getting rid of a policy. Eliminate Clean Energy Corps by revoking funding and eliminating all positions and personnel hired under the program. So a bunch of people losing jobs. Good shit. Budget. Funding for Clean Energy Corps employees is not clearly defined in fiscal year 2023 DOE budget request. Energy Information Administration, EIA. Mission overview. The U.S. Energy Information Administration, quote, collects, analyzes, and disseminates independent and impartial energy information to promote sound policy making, efficient markets, and public understanding of energy and its interaction with the economy and environment. Needed reforms. EIA is not an inherently problematic agency and historically has provided independent and impartial analysis. Requests for EIA analysis can be made by the administration or from members of Congress or congressional committees. EIA needs to be committed to providing unbiased forecasting and data so that policymakers, industry, and the public can have a clear understanding of our energy resources and energy economy. Strong leadership will be needed to ensure that the data and reporting is not misused to promote a politicized energy transition. The conclusions of the I hate you. New policies. Clarify levelized cost of electricity. Levelized cost of electricity, or LCOE, refers to the estimated revenue required to build and operate a generator over a specified cost recovery period, end quote. It is used in the National Energy Modeling System, or NEMS, NEMS, to compare the cost of technologies to determine which technologies are expected to be constructed in the future. Although it is useful in comparing the cost of resources over time, LCOE can also mask a massive amount of capital needed to deploy a new generation. Moreover, in the case of intermittent resources such as wind and solar, LCOE does not include the cost for backup or firming power from dispatchable resources. EIA should ensure that its reporting provides an accurate assessment of generation costs. The cost of backup power for when wind and solar resources are not available should be included when comparing technologies and reported as separate component in the modeling documents. Okay. Revise reserve margins. EIA, in conjunction with FERC, NERC, Regional Transmission Organization, RTOs, and the electricity industry, should change how electrical grid reserve margins are defined and calculated. Guys, the data doesn't match what we want it to match, and you don't come to the conclusion that we want you to come to with the data you're providing, so you need to change your models and make everything look like it comes out the way we want it to look. That's what they're describing right now. They're describing manipulating data points. In the past, reserve margins have looked at the amount of nameplate capacity on the grid to serve peak load plus and reserve. With the increased number of intermittent, non-dispatchable resources like wind and solar, peak load and reserve margins need to be reevaluated. What do you mean not dispatchable? Reserve margins need to be timed to load changes throughout the day to consider the availability of dispatchable on-demand resources to meet loads when renewable may not be available. Update reports on impacts of federal financial intervention and subsidies. EIA's most recent report on federal financial interventions and subsidies was issued in April of 2018. This is an important analysis because it clearly shows the level of the federal government's intervention in an area of energy systems for a given fiscal year. In the past, EIA performed the analysis pursuant to a request from Congress or the administration. This report should become a project that is performed annually or every other year as part of EIA's base program. So you're going to have to hire more people to work there. I know, right? Ensure the objectivity of the International Energy Outlook, the IEO. In the past, EIA published the IEO every year. Now it is published every 2 years. IEO's forecasts are important because the International Energy Agency forecasts in its annual World Energy Outlook are becoming unrealistic and politically oriented to push Europe's climate goals. Oh yeah. Did you know that Europe only looks at what the American government publishes for their information on how they feel about climate change and what their policies are going to be in the future? You absolute numpty. You boosted ass bonobo. What are you talking about? Oh my god. Unbelievable. Unreal. EIA forecasts should be based on current laws and regulations and should not be used to promote favored policies. What is the information for then, if not to make policy decisions? Jackass? What's the point if you're never gonna use it? Access. Hi, Puck, you're coming to check on me because I'm starting to yell. No? Okay. Assess the case for privatization. There are some who think that EIA should be privatized. Some, such as Whomst. Whomst thinks this. You? The cost of saving to taxpayers should be considered. On the other hand, EIA has generally demonstrated neutral data presentation that is helpful to policymakers and the private sector. Budget. Congress appropriated $126.8 million for EIA in fiscal year 2021, and fiscal year 2023 budget request is approximately $144.5 million. Still less than Elon Musk spent on Twitter. All right, I'm going to stop there. I'm not sure how much. I'm on page 388 of the document and page 420, which is why I'm stopping here, of the PDF if you're interested in following along, because we go for 2 hours at a time. Oh my fucking god. Holy shit. Thank you so much for joining me and getting through this with me. This is it's so fucking ridiculous. It's so fucking ridiculous. I'll see if Landon and Dapper and Manya are interested in having a conversation about, or if there's anybody else who's interested. If you think there's somebody else who might be interested in joining us on a panel discussion about what to do about nuclear waste and energy in that direction, please let me know. I'd love to work on a little mini video project like that, where it's like a maybe max 2-hour discussion. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll be live on Twitch later today doing art and doing Mert Mart. If you're interested in following my Mert Mart adventure, that is coming out on the weekends as video format. It's about 2 hours, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. I am going to flip them today, so I'm actually going to do Mert Mart first, then I'm going to be doing art as opposed to art and then Mert Mart, because I'm really tired of trying to do art in the dark while this light is the sun is trying to stop me from doing art by providing me with the worst glare literally ever. So I'm going to switch those two around for the time being until I figure out some kind of different solution, or if I end up liking it that way, we'll find out. Thank you so much. Like, share, follow, make sure that, let me know if this has been helpful for you in discussions or your assessments and what you believe is going on with Project 2025, if it affects your decisions on election stuff, or whether it kind of informs you about what you want to vote for in your jurisdiction, or whether you're American or not. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you guys. Like, share, subscribe, blah, 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 blah. Bye!